The New York judge presiding over Donald Trump's hush money case has indefinitely postponed his sentencing. Judge Roland Martin's one-page order directed Trump to file a formal motion to dismiss the case by December 2nd and to have Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg respond by December 9th. Trump has indicated he plans to ask for the case to be tossed to facilitate the transfer of presidential power after his election victory. Trump's lawyers want the case dismissed outright and immediately. They say doing otherwise will interfere with his presidential transition and duties. Prosecutors are open to putting the case on hold, but don't want to scrap altogether. All right, I need to get into this because, and Matt, I got to start with you here. This is what I don't understand. Donald Trump was convicted in New York State. This notion that a president cannot be prosecuted is based off of a memo written during the Nixon administration. Now, we know the Nixon administration was trying to keep him from getting convicted. A state does not have to abide by a DOJ memo. Just because, and here's my whole deal, let a court adjudicate it, but I don't understand why New York State and why Georgia, why they are postponing just because the election is over and then he gets inaugurated. And then also this notion of, oh, just drop the whole case because I won? No, you were convicted. This is bullshit.
Yeah, it is. It's complete garbage. There's no justification for it whatsoever. And look, even if we were talking about a prospective prosecution, that's a different thing than 12 people sat in the box, looked at the evidence, and convicted you of 34 felony counts. So all we're talking about at this point is sentencing. The real conversation we should be having is Donald Trump going to be on probation? Is he going to be paying a fine? Or is he just going to be getting a conviction and having no meaningful punishment after that? But the idea that there's going to be a motion to dismiss after a jury waded through all the evidence, found beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest level in the justice system, criminal or civil, and now we're talking about undoing that because of some nebulous idea that he'd be constitutionally hampered is complete garbage. Now, we got to be truthful. If he's the sitting president of the United States, you know, he's not going to be checking in at Manhattan court with his probation officer like most probationers. I mean, there's just some practical realities that are not going to apply to him. But the idea that we need to undo the entire case that's already been adjudicated is, I think, political kowtowing. I think it's people who are afraid of either being attacked by the MAGA mob or, you know, losing some kind of political gravitas, I guess. But to me, it makes no sense. And in fact, I think it undermines Merchan. I think it undermines any judge that's presiding over this, because what do judges and all these people say in this system all the time? Rule of law. You need to have prescriptive outcomes. You know, the whole reason we follow stare decisis and precedent is so that if one person goes into a courtroom, he or she doesn't have a wildly different outcome than other, you know, circumstances that come before that judge. But in real time, what we're seeing is people saying this man is bigger than the law. And notwithstanding the practical realities of imposing a sentence on him, it's absurd to me that you've got a lame duck presidency now. He has not been inaugurated yet. You've got the better part of, you know, a month and a half where he could easily be sentenced. And this is a judge sentencing. Judges set sentencings all the time. There's nothing preventing them from sentencing him to whatever he wants to sentence him to. And frankly, he could even do a short jail sentence in time before, you know, he retakes the presidency. I think this is just a matter of because the Supreme Court came out with this asinine ruling that we're concerned about how that ruling is really going to be implicated, you know, far reaching. And yes, he can't pardon himself in these states, but this to me undermines the idea that judges are calling it fair. They're calling the balls and strikes, because anyone else on the planet who's already been convicted would not be getting out of being sentenced but for an appellate court overturning their conviction. I mean,
this is just saying, okay, hey, here's what's insane to me. This is what's insane to me, Kelly. Let me show it. and Ron Reynolds, don't get mad, but Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, who was sitting in office, went to jail. Let me pull it up right here. Here's a story right here. Let me show y'all right here. This is why this is stupid to me. This is dumb. If we want to talk about the law, we want to talk about equal justice under law. State Rep Ron Reynolds, hold up, give me 1 second. I'm pulling up on our screen here. I'm just going to read it and then it's going to come up in a second, so just give me a second. Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds turns himself in to serve year-long jail sentence. Now he didn't serve a year in jail. The Missouri City Democrat was convicted of multiple misdemeanors for legally soliciting clients for his personal injury law practice. Okay? He was convicted in 2015 on misdemeanor charges for illegally soliciting clients for his personal injury practice. Sentenced to a year in jail, he was out on an appellate bond for years while his case wound through the appeals process. Kelly, he's a sitting Texas state representative. He was convicted and was sentenced and went to jail, got out, and was still a state representative. Where in the hell is this? Oh no, you can create massive crimes because though you win the presidency, that's a get out. Winning the presidency is not a get out of jail free card.
Can I talk? I thought you were going to say something else. My bad. So this is interesting to me on a couple fronts. One, the main one being, if I recall correctly, the memo that was meant to keep Nixon out of jail by the DOJ was a memo for a sitting president, right? So even the memo that they're following doesn't make any sense because at the time of Trump's convictions, he was not a sitting president. He's a former president, which means that he's a private citizen upon being convicted, which means that the law should apply to him because like me, like you, like everybody on this panel and everybody else in this country, he's a private citizen now.
And the crime was committed before he became president.
Before he became
the
president.
The crime was committed before he became president. The conviction came when he wasn't president. What the?
Listen, I'm here with you. I am right there with you. You done took all my talking points on the matter, but I will say that this is, in my opinion, the only reason he ran for president, because he knew that something along the lines of this would happen. Because frankly, America cannot fathom having a president in jail or held accountable for any type of action while he's still the president of the United States, right? I feel like America is truly on welfare wearing a Gucci belt. And by that, I mean the image of opulence and excellence and I'm better than you is very thinly veiled. Everybody else in the world can see right through it. And Donald Trump took advantage of the veil, right? He knew this was going to happen. That's why he ran for president. And here we are. We tried to tell you that this was going to happen. I am not surprised by this in the least bit. But it is sad that we have, 70 million plus people in this country who are okay with a convicted felon. Because here's the other thing. Just because he's not sentenced and they are dismissing the sentencing, he's still and will always be a convicted felon. Right?
This is the memo. And actually it was reaffirmed. This is what it says right here. Go to my iPad. A sitting president's amenability to indictment and criminal prosecution. Y'all, look, it says the indictment or criminal prosecution of a sitting president would unconstitutionally undermine the capacity of the executive branch to perform its constitutionally assigned functions. It's based upon this 1973 memo from the Office of Legal Counsel. Y'all, this is not a provision of the U.S. Constitution. This is not a law, Michael. This is literally this is not even an opinion that has been affirmed. It's a legal opinion. Now, here's what's also crazy to me. And a lot of people, if y'all don't know American history, let me remind y'all, there was a time when we had a vice president of the United States who resigned.
Spiro T. Agnew.
Go to my iPad. Spiro Agnew was the vice president for Richard Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
He pleaded no contest to a charge of federal income tax evasion in exchange for the dropping of charges of political corruption. Y'all, for y'all who don't understand, this is from history.com. Agnew,
right,
a Republican, was elected chief executive of Baltimore County in 1961. In 1967, he became governor of Maryland. He ran a tough law and order campaign, blah, 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 blah. He resigned on October 10th, 1973, after the U.S. Justice Department uncovered widespread evidence of his political corruption, including allegations that his practice of accepting bribes had continued, y'all listen to what I just said, had continued into his tenure as U.S. Vice President. Now explain this to me. How can the number two be targeted and then cop a plea and resigns, but they say, oh no, the president, you can't go after him because this is going to interfere with his duties. So what they have said is the president of the United States can commit untold crimes. He or she could commit untold crimes. Y'all can't prosecute him because that's going to interfere with his job. This right here completely flies in the face of what's etched in stone above the U.S. Supreme Court, Michael, where it says equal justice under law.
Yeah, it does. A couple quick things here. So the ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court back around July, I think it was, that basically gives the president immunity from criminal prosecution if it's deemed that he or she are acting within their capacity as president. That even goes beyond this memo from the Department of Justice, okay? Because that's a memo from the Department of Justice, whereas the prosecution that took place under State's Attorney General Alvin Bragg, that's at the state level. Now, when you part of the crime that Trump committed and was convicted on took place while he was in office, and that dealt with the repayment of the payments to Michael Cohen and covering it up in the way it was recorded in the business records. Okay, so the 34 felony counts was based upon falsifying business records, and that was while he was sitting president. Okay, just so people understand. And I'm pretty familiar with that case because I was the one that broke that story on 19 AM WFDF when I was had the African History Network show on that station. And when the story first broke about Stormy Daniels, I was the one that broke that story. Lastly, when we look at the piece from Reuters, Trump's attorneys are making the argument not that he's immune from criminal prosecution or anything like that, but they're saying that if he is sentenced, then it will become an unconstitutional impediment, okay, to him governing. Well, the sentence could just cover the time from now until January 20th, and that won't interfere with him being president
at all.
So, yeah, so they're just making excuses and just trying to run the clock out on this, which is what Donald Trump has a history of doing. just delay. So they should just go ahead and sentence him. The court is going to reconvene December 2nd. That's the deadline.
It's just
Friday, December. So, but they should just go ahead and sentence him.
It's just, for me, it's just completely irrational, nonsensical. It flies in the face of the law. And what they've said is, we're going to just give this massive exception to him. It's grossly pathetic, but this is how they roll. And hell, Joe Biden, just go on out and commit a bunch of crimes. Just start taking bribes and doing all kinds of. It's just to me, it's just stupid. It's beyond stupid.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free to download, free to use, next generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation 8 crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.